Welcome to Dr. Costine's commentary. My name is Dr. Lauren Costine, and I am excited to talk about a LGBT history and myth character today who I've been teaching about for a long time in an LGBT history and myth class that I helped develop at Antioch University, Los Angeles in the LGBT specialization. And this class is a full quarter of different LGBT history characters that a lot of people don't know about. And so today I thought about talking about Lilith, who is one of my favorite characters of all time. She's more mythic than historical, and she was around the time of 2000 to 1600 BC. We're not entirely clear. And she was a Mesopotamian goddess. And she actually is the goddess that was in the Old Testament before she was kicked out and Eve was put in. Now, she's a relevant character because she was around the time that the patriarchal culture in Indo-Europe was starting to take over what we call the goddess cultures and infiltrate their new ideology of a male god and taking out the belief system of a goddess, a matriarchal goddess that was the divine, was part of the divine piece of everybody. So Lilith actually is a fabulous goddess that you're going to see a picture of her in a few moments. And she has talons, and she has lions by her feet, and she had wings, and she could fly. So in this myth that was not put in the Old Testament, but was originally meant to be, was God came to her and said, you know, you're going to marry Adam. I want you to marry Adam. And basically she said, no way. And she flew off. And she never did marry him. So there's a lot of ways to interpret this. Obviously, many people have interpreted this in a lot of different ways. But one of the ways that I like to interpret it is, first of all, she was a goddess that represents the culture of the time where women were independent and could make their own decisions and were not oppressed and dominated by the patriarchal culture or the heteronormative culture. And that's the way the goddess cultures were that we know of today. So then it also represents what the patriarchy did is it came in and it said, you know, we're going to start to subjugate you. And she and the goddess cultures, the women of the time were like, no, you're not. And they would fly off and do their own thing. So she definitely represents that sort of fight that was going on culturally at the time as the patriarchy took over the goddess mentality. The second component that I really like to think about it from a lesbian lens perspective is that here she was, God is like, you know, you have to go marry this man. And she's like, hell no. And she flies off. And there's something very lesbianic about it. So when I teach about her in the class, we talk about it from that perspective because it's so important for us to see our history in myth and see ourselves in our history because we're never given that permission. We're never given that lens unless we start looking at it for ourselves. All history books and all history lessons have been interpreted by a heterosexual lens and mostly interpreted by a male-centric lens. So to claim ourselves, to see ourselves in history, because we have always existed, LGBT people have always existed since the beginning of time, we can start seeing ourselves in these different kind of myths, and Lilith is a really important one to look at. Thank you.